The San Diego Padres are looking like themselves again. What a turnaround from where we were Sunday into Monday to where we are now Thursday, off day ahead of a 9-game road trip. And very excited to have one of my favorites. Love when Greg Garcia is on the pod. And Greg Garcia joins us today. Derek taking some time off. And so excited to catch up with former Padre, proud East County guy, Valhalla grad, to get his thoughts on the Padres. Is this the best version of Fernando Tatis Jr. we've seen? And Craig loves talking about. I was trying to figure out, is Mike Shildt his favorite manager? He's obviously raved about Mike Shildt with us, and for good reason. But I'll ask him that. Is Mike Shildt his favorite manager? Because he's just always glowing about the guy, and for good reason right now. Thanks to OG's, a sponsor of the On Fire podcast. Appreciate all they do for On Fire and the NBC7 sports team. If you need a place to catch a game, maybe watch some NBA or NHL playoffs, whatever your sport of choice is, OG is a great place to do it. Tons of TVs, awesome menu, great beer list. They're always doing specials in a bunch of locations around San Diego County. So thanks to OG's for all they do for On Fire. Without further ado, the walk-up music. It is the On Fire podcast, brought to you by NBC7. I am Darnay Tripp, and let's bring him on in. Greg Garcia back on the pod. Always great to be with you. How you been, man?
Darnay, man, I'm good. Thanks for having me back on. Always love jumping on and catching up with you. So thanks again for having me on.
Of course. Appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy. It seems like you're in like full on sports dad mode as well.
Oh yeah. We just wrapped up the softball team, the softball season. The Cotton Candy Crushers had a great season.
Let's go Cotton Candy Crushers.
I was able to have both my daughters on the same teams, under 6 and under, so not competitive, no outs, no runs, no keeping score, nothing like that. But they were able to be on the same team, which was just such a joy for us to watch, and we had a blast for sure. Great group of girls.
Really cool. Thanks again for doing this. We got about 30 minutes with you, and I got a host of topics on my notes app to get through. First, can you answer that question? Is Mike Shildt your favorite manager of all time?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, he's he was a guy that always believed in me. I feel like from day one, he was always in my corner. And then we just kind of connected in rookie ball. Just kind of loved the old school mentality. I think he liked me as maybe a little bit more of a throwback player. Nothing too outstanding of a baseball player, but just did all the little things right. I think he appreciated that. So yeah, we connected right away. Definitely my favorite manager.
A lot to discuss with Shildt. We'll get to that. I want to start just kind of big picture. It's obviously been a really exciting start to the season, especially now they've shaken off kind of their first bit of adversity with the injuries. Guys are getting healthy again. They take 2 against the Giants. What has been your favorite part of the 2025 season to this point?
Oh man, I think it's had so much already. We just got through April. I mean, you start the season. I don't even know, what were they, 12-0 at home or something ridiculous like that. Like that never happens. Get into Chicago where it's 30 degrees, so they battling elements. Then got hit with some tough injuries, right? Some key players going down, other guys stepping up. Kind of weathered that storm a bit, got Jason back and Luis back, and that helps solidify that lineup offensively and defensively with Jason, and then hopefully you get those other guys back soon. But yeah, it's been a nice April. They're off to a great start. Really competitive division, obviously, but they've positioned themselves pretty nicely here in the first month.
I was thinking about, they are 5-0 in the NL West, 3 against the Rockies, 2 against the Giants. Rockies don't appear to be a factor in the NL West this year, whereas it is stacked elsewhere. Giants came into the week with the second best record in all of baseball. That is no longer the case after dropping 2 at Petco Park. And I was trying to think, like, what's more encouraging? The 2 wins. I think the 2 wins over the Giants because of the context, the fact they're struggling. But I also find the fact that they dispatched of the Rockies the way they did to be really encouraging, because we haven't always seen that with the Padres. So I'm kind of like battling which to me is the better sign, the fact that you treated the Rockies like the Rockies, or you bounce back the way you did against what appears to be a quality Giants team. We'll see what happens as the season goes on.
Yeah, that's funny. I remember hearing the rumblings of the Rockies, the big bad Rockies coming to town. They've always done well against the Padres for whatever reason. But nice to see us kind of turn the page and kind of get after them and take it to them that series. But yeah, I think also great. The test we had these last couple of days against a really good team with the Giants, off to a great start. Obviously, like you said, second best record in baseball. So they're both encouraging signs. You need to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat, right? That's obvious, and that was something that maybe we struggled with in the past, especially with the team like the Rockies. But you also need to beat the best teams in baseball, and that's what we were able to accomplish the last couple of days. So both are just equally as encouraging, I guess.
Yeah, it was good to see, and amazing the way they seem to flip a switch with Arraez and Heyward coming back on Tuesday. I'm sure you've had experiences like that where guys go down, maybe have a wave of injuries. You start to get guys healthy, and it really gives the team a boost. I think looking at what happened against Tampa, I think there were some feelings that, okay, injuries certainly contributing, but they didn't play certainly to their capabilities. You still have Machado, you still have Tatis and Bogarts, among others. But can you maybe provide some insight on like the psychological lift that comes when you're scuffling and when guys are hurting? And maybe it's a specific type of guy. Like Heyward's a great clubhouse guy. Arraez, they seem to really like, but it seems bigger, or it seemed bigger the last couple of days than just like whatever the numbers tell you in terms of what they contribute. Like it seemed more than that based on the way the team responded when those guys returned to the lineup.
Yeah, those two guys you're just mentioning, and I know we got two other key guys still on the bench with Jackson and Jake potentially coming back hopefully soon. I don't know what the update on that is, but
yeah, Shildt said, just sorry to interrupt you. He said Lockridge and Merrill are on kind of a similar track, and sounds like one of them potentially early on against Pittsburgh. He didn't specify which one, but those two, one shortly followed by the other, it seems, and Cronenworth, I think, was going to Arizona to get some work in. So that's kind of where they are. So there's some excitement that potentially we see Merrill this weekend.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be another boost. But yeah, and then going back to the original question with Luis and Jason coming back, I'll speak to Jason first. I was able to be a teammate of his in St. Louis for that one season, and just kind of what he brings to a clubhouse. All the things that I've heard in the media and everything, that it's all correct. This guy's a leader in the clubhouse. He brings people together. He leads by example with his work ethic. I was watching him run the bases the other day. I think it was in Sacramento, or I don't remember where it was. The leads he was taking. No, I think he got a pinch hit single or something against somebody, and he was the secondary leads he's taken. I mean, this is a guy that's been in the league forever. He's won countless awards, World Series champion, and he's setting the tone on those little things like base running. And I think, to your point, that's kind of what it's ingrained in the Padres fabric now, right? This is what they're about. They're about doing the little things the right way, the hustle, the effort, and Jason just does that, better than anybody. So getting a guy like that back kind of lets everybody breathe. You got another, a leader back in the lineup, offensively, defensively, that helps. I've never played with Luis, but from what I've seen from afar and what I've heard, with other teammates, is that this guy just brings a ton of energy to the field. And you can see it. He's always smiling. I think there was a quote that he came into the clubhouse with a big grin on his face and just said, "I'm back," or something like that. And they said, "Hey, how you feeling?" And he goes, "It's great. I get to play baseball." Again, just another fabric of what the Padres are about. They're about players that love to play the game and play the game the right way. So getting both those guys back absolutely brings a boost to the team's morale, gets us going in the right foot, solidifies the lineup, lengthens the lineup. And it just it's a big part of, I think, why they had some success against the Giants, and hopefully they can continue that moving forward.
I think you might have gotten that Arraez quote from my Instagram story. Maybe.
Was that you?
Maybe.
Yeah,
we'll
probably.
See.
Probably.
I think it was making the rounds beyond that for sure. With Arraez, you overlapped with Profar in 2020, and there seemed to be some magic with Jerks and Profar and this club. Obviously, 2020, 2022, big, contributor to both those seasons, gone for most of 2023. The team was terrible, comes back in September, and all of a sudden they're good again. And then we know what happened last year. Unfortunate what happened with the PD. But that aside, just in terms of people talk about the vibes, he is a guy that is really well liked in the clubhouse. He is friendly and warm and easygoing, but also has an edge that we've seen time and time again. Arraez may be similar in his own way, super jovial and friendly, always with a smile. But I remember after he had that walk-off against the Dodgers last year on a Friday night, he looked possessed. So you saw like the competitive side of him. And you see Machado giving a big hug and all that. I wonder if Luis Arraez is kind of stepping into that Jerks and Profar role where what he provides the team is even bigger than his numbers, and his numbers are a 3-time defending batting champ. But the love that guys have in the clubhouse, the way he approaches the game, seems to be a real team first guy, but a competitor as well. Am I crazy in maybe saying there might be kind of a comparison there, or maybe he's picking up that torch from Profar?
No, I think you're spot on with that. I feel like, I've been in clubhouses with guys with that same kind of, infectious personality, with that work ethic. And it's great. It's contagious. You need that. It's a long season, especially, with the Padres going through a little tough stretch there, losing some games to Tampa and maybe not playing their best baseball. You get a guy like that back, brings everybody's energy back up, kind of rights the ship. So no, I think you're absolutely spot on. And like you said, the fact that he's a 3-time batting champion also helps as well. But definitely need those types of guys in the clubhouse. And Luis is doing a great job with that. He's been such an integral part of the team the last few seasons, and definitely going to be a big leader moving forward.
You're talking about Jackson Heyward and his mentality kind of fitting the mentality of the team and the identity that we've seen in the Padres. Where'd that identity come from, Greg? Who instilled that identity and the culture we've seen in the Padres the last couple of years?
Oh man, I think they have the right veteran guys there. I mean, I think Mike Shildt, one of them. I think that's what we're alluding to, probably.
I think that's where we're going.
You tried to tee me up there, and I took me a second, but I got it. Yeah, I think Mike definitely is bringing his style of baseball and his style of leadership here to San Diego. And we've already seen what it can do. What he did last year, and then getting off to this great start this year. That's who he is as a leader, and this is the type of groups that he has. I mean, it's crazy if you look back at it. And I'm not just talking about what he did with St. Louis going to the postseason 3 years or 4 years in a row, and then I think he was manager of the year one of those years. So, but in the minor leagues as well, he had the same effect on his teams. That is, and I don't know, there's something about him, man. He's a winner. And I hear players now, like when they have their quotes, it sounds like Mike, because he talks about winning players, and that's something that I stole from him. And I hear all these little things that come out, and they're Mike-isms. They're just something that he created, and he gets his guys to believe in, and then they make it their own. So yeah, absolutely. I think he's been also an integral part of the Padres' success the last couple of years for sure.
Heyward, now that I'm thinking about it, when I was in the clubhouse on Tuesday, Heyward was wearing a Grit Squad t-shirt. So
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Winners find solutions. That was a quote that Shildt dropped again, one of his favorites after Wednesday's win. You hear that from him a lot. One thing I wondered was, are they going to be able to continue that identity and that approach that was so successful for them last year, that kind of gritty workman-like mindset? Would that carry over into a new season? And I mean, from the jump, that was evident. Is that hard to do, or is that to be expected when you have the same manager and kind of the core group of players? Because I think one of the issues with this team in kind of like the modern era of Padres baseball, when you've seen them cycle through managers, is one really good year, but then they just can't recapture that magic and that consistency throughout. And it seems like to this point they're doing that with Shildt.
Yeah, I think the style of baseball that he's making his players play it's an old school style baseball. And not to say that there isn't the new parts of the game going on, but yeah, that grittiness, that effort, that focus, that drive, and that will to win What does he say? We want to apply pressure, something along. He has these
Yeah.
pressure quotes.
Yeah.
He's into it, man, and he gets his guys to buy into it. And to your question about it is hard to keep this up. It's not an easy style of baseball to play. You're running out balls hard. You're playing the game hard. You're focused. You're locked in. So not only mentally but physically, it takes a toll on your body. But I think when you get a collective group that's all kind of buying into that same style, you can have that success throughout the length of a 162 game season. And I don't foresee it going anywhere south this year. I mean, I feel like we've already kind of battled some injuries. That would be the one thing that you can't predict, and they've already kind of gotten through that. Hopefully, we just talked about, getting some guys back helps. So, barring injuries, more injuries to key players, I see this Padre team being very successful. I don't see anything that's worrisome or anything like that. Same as last year, especially that second half of the season.
Funny thing with Shildt is oftentimes when he's talking to the media, it seems like he's also trying to talk to his players in the clubhouse. But I also don't know how much you guys are reading and listening to this stuff. There's been it's become kind of like a running joke that he'll randomly just show love to a player out of the clear blue that we're not necessarily talking about, but he goes out of his way to acknowledge them. That's a big thing with him. Then on Tuesday, he was asked pregame about Bogaerts' struggles and the struggles offensively of the catcher group, Maldonado and Diaz. And, he did his Shildt thing. Like, I don't even see why we're asking this question. Look what he's done. Bogaerts on pace for 40 doubles. I only see him as a positive for this team. He's great. Catchers, Diaz had a homer last week. Maldonado's had some big games, blah, 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 blah. Like, not even close to taking the bait, but just pumping his guys up. And after saying that about Bogaerts, hits a homer, has a 3 RBI game. Yep. And then the next day, Diaz hits another homer. In a 2-run game. He also fell on the sword for the team on Sunday and said, I need to be better. Are you guys hearing this? Does the team actually hear this? And like, how impactful is that kind of messaging? Or is it to him? Do you think it is just kind of a back and forth with reporters? Or in his eyes, is there a possibility that maybe a player reads a quote, sees a quote, and that gives him a little bit of boost? Like, yeah, my guy's got my back.
Yeah, I think in Mike's case, I think he honestly believes it. I don't think this is a show. I don't think this is what he honestly believes in his heart. And this is why he gets guys to play so hard for him, because what he just went and told the media, he's probably had that same conversation with Bogaerts. If he saw him maybe kind of, struggling a little bit, he's saying, hey man, you're good. Like, hang in there. And then you get that confidence from your manager in baseball, which is such a difficult sport to maintain, right? You're never guaranteed the next season, the next game. You can get sent down, you can get released, you can get traded, all these things. So when you have a manager that believes in you and say, hey, just keep focusing, keep doing what you're doing, pointing out some positives, I think that's huge. And I don't think he's doing it. I honestly think it's coming out of, like, he actually believes it. And if it wasn't sincere like that, then the players wouldn't be affected by it, right? You can always tell when somebody's just saying something just to say something. When Mike's saying it, there's something behind it. And when he goes in and he does those interviews and he's maybe bringing up a player that wasn't being talked about, it's his way of maybe bringing some light into maybe not an everyday guy or not the superstar, but showing some love to the guy that laid down the bunt or got that runner over from second. He mixes those in, because when you're that player, and I was that player, you're never getting the quotes in the paper. You're never, you're not getting talked about, but he wants to make sure, hey, this player was, he may not show up in the box score, but this guy, again, talk about a winning player. This guy helped us win today's game. You guys won't ask me about it because it wasn't Manny's 3-run homer, but it was whatever, type of thing. He does a great job doing that. And in today's age, when I was a player, I never looked for quotes. I never Googled what did my manager say about me after a good or bad game. Never happened. But I think with social media, with all these things, it can kind of just get to you without you even looking for it, So I think it is important that, he's doing the right thing, but also I don't think he's doing it just to do it. I think he truly believes in his players, and that's why he gets such great effort from his players, and everybody loves him,
I was just trying to find a Mike Shildt quote about Greg Garcia from the Cardinals days, but
there's probably none out there right now. He's but he definitely had a couple of quotes to my face, which honestly mean more to me than anything that gets into the paper. But he's
well, what did he say?
Yeah, little things. I mean, it would be little things. I talked to you. We talked about the yellow pad stuff. That it all kind
Mhm.
of stemmed from that, and I always took that like, man, this is awesome. No one's ever talked about me, working that walk so Manny can come up and hit that homer or whatever, or beat out that double play ball and extend the inning. And now the next guy up hits a double and I score. Nobody's talked about that, and he would always make a point to bring those little things to light. And I always think that was great because it taught you the game of baseball. It's easy to, point out the great plays, the diving catches, all this stuff, but it's those little plays over a long season that help you win those tight games. And that's what the Padres are doing now. They're doing all those little things because I think we're down in the league in terms of home runs, right? I'm not
Mm.
not for sure, but I think we're not like up there in terms of home runs. I think Manny's only got a few to start the season. He'll end up with 30, but we're winning games without the long ball type of thing, and I think
Mhm.
that's more of that old school style of baseball.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, tied for the second fewest homers in baseball with 24. The
There you
Mets
go.
only have 14 homers? Oh, I'm looking at pitching.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. Yankees at 53 and the Padres 22nd with 26. Royals only have 14
All
homers.
right.
See, that doesn't surprise me.
Right.
And you did have a quote about Shildt when he got hired by the Cardinals and saying, this guy was born to manage. Now he's doing it for
Hey,
the
see,
Padres. So flip. I
man.
was looking for a quote about Greg Garcia. Got a quote about Mike Shildt. Quickly, a question from Chris. With players coming back from injury, some players will be back at AAA. Does the constant move from AAA to the big league club affect overall morale for the individual players and the team? I would think for a guy that Mike Shildt loves, Tyler Wade, he
Yeah.
has done enough probably to stay around.
Right.
We'll see, like Connor Joes of the world, what happens with Brandon Lockridge. There's some depth, some guys in the bubble. Like, how do they handle that?
Yeah, Chris, great question. I think you talked to the right guy there. I mean, for the
I
first two
wasn't going to
years,
say it.
yeah, it's okay. I will. It's the elephant in the room. For the first 2 years of my career, I was on that AAA big league train many times, and it's tough as an individual. It really is. I mean, it does weigh on you, and getting sent down, especially when you feel like you're producing. Like if a Tyler Wade were to get sent down, and he's contributed over the last couple of weeks, filling in nicely, that would be tough individually, and it would be really tough to swallow. All you can do is just continue to work, and to Tyler's credit, I feel like that's kind of what he did. Obviously, I think he's done enough he's a big leaguer, right? He belongs in the big leagues, but sometimes it's situation and everything like that. But how he handled that situation out of camp was exactly what a pro should do. So, but I would be lying to you if there wasn't times when I got sent down and I was having some success in my minor role, right? Wasn't an everyday player, but was doing my job and getting sent down. It's tough. Uh, in terms of the big league locker room, there was times where you'd get sent down and there'd be other players like, why are you getting sent down? And it's sometimes you there's no good answer for it, right? But you kind of got to just take it on the chin and keep moving and keep going forward. But I don't think it affects the big league clubhouse morale. I don't think that's a huge issue when somebody gets sent down, even if it's a guy that most guys would like to see on the big league roster. But for that individual player, absolutely, absolute mental grind to have to deal with that. And you never know. You could get sent down to AAA and just get absolutely lost there, right? There's so many
Mhm.
great players that now you got to go keep performing, and it's not like AAA is easy. It's not easy to go do well down there. It's a lot of really good players. So, yeah, great question and perfect timing with me on here.
One guy that I don't think we have to worry about that with is Fernando Tatis Jr., who you played with in 2019 and 2020, his first two seasons. Is this the best version of Fernando Tatis Jr. that we have seen?
Man, it sure looks like it, right? I mean, it looks like he's always made the game look easier, fun. He does stuff on the field that you're like, I never could do that in my life. I would love to do that. I just saw the highlight the other day of him tagging up in Pittsburgh on that infield pop up.
Mm, mhm,
Literally, that
mhm,
was a
mhm.
step in the grass, and he scored. And you're like,
Yeah.
how? So he went from doing stuff like that to now just feels like he's every time he's up at the plate, something good's going to happen. On defense, he's playing a great right field. So yeah, I think the sky's the limit for him. Again, it's about staying healthy. If he can stay healthy for the remainder of the season, absolutely best version of Fernando as he matures and just keeps getting better every day. The guy works extremely hard. He's a freak athlete, and when you have those two combinations, you get a guy like him having the success that he is. So yeah, I would say this is a pretty good version of Fernando.
Yeah, some of the pure power numbers probably aren't at the 2021 level where he had, was it 41, 42 homers. Barrel rate that year was 21 plus. This year it's around 17 or 18, which is above his career average. So exit velocity, I mean, nothing crazy there, but like expected batting average 334, highest of his career. Expected slug, highest of his career at 680. Hard hit again, like above career average, not sensational, but when you get to strikeout rate, 15% down from his career average of 24.4. So his strikeout rate is
Big
down
deal.
10%.
Yeah.
And it was at 28% in 2021. Walk rate, which was up there in 2020 and 2021, now at 10.2, up from 7.3 last year. So above his career average. Mike Shildt was asked about this. Like he's still swinging. I think like his chase numbers, 27% down from 28.2. So not crazy. Making more contact in the zone. Zone swing percentage, like almost identical. The thing that Shildt mentioned is he's been more discerning with like breaking pitches. And I think if you had to say like what's his bugaboo, it's that slider low and away that he goes fishing for. He's got great plate coverage. He's so skilled. He thinks he can get to it. And we've seen him. That's been strike three many, many times. If I had to say, what is Fernando Tatis Jr.'s weakness, I would probably say that. And he seems to have like mitigated that this year. And his numbers across the board from, last year against certain types of pitches and the year before that are way up. I mean, 424 average against fastballs, 308 average against breaking compared to 275 last year, 265 the year before that. Off speed, not great. But like his slug numbers way up, like slugging 718 on breaking compared to 471 last year. Whiff rate, a big one. It's still 30% on breaking this year. It was 38.4 last year. Wow. Put away rate 18.8 on breaking, 27.3 this year. And if you took a longer look at his Savant page, more numbers would jump out to you, but he's been more disciplined against breaking pitches than he was in the past. He is more patient, taking more walks, striking out less, still has the power, is incredible defensively. Now his leg doesn't hurt him anymore. He's electric on the base pass again. It's been incredible and refreshing to see after all the time away and all the injuries and all that stuff.
Fun to watch, and I would say as a San Diego fan, and that's what I am now, is don't take these times for granted. We got some generational type players on the Padres right now, and I remember it was on a different sport, but I remember my dad saying that about LaDainian Tomlinson because I was young and I was like, oh yeah, this is what running backs look like. This is just as Fernando is. That's not what right fielders look like. So let's really enjoy these times that we get to watch these guys. Manny playing third. These guys are generational. You may never see another player like that in a Padre uniform. It's no guarantee. And I remember when I was young, that really hit me home when he said that about LT. And sure enough, for the rest of my Chargers fandom, there was never another LT, not even close, right? So yeah, let's enjoy what's going on right here in San Diego. And I know the fans are packing Petco, basically every day. It doesn't matter if it's a Wednesday day game anymore. They're out there 45,000 strong, so it's great.
Yeah, a couple more quick ones because I know we got to let you go. Have you been out to Petco yet this year?
Yeah, a couple games. I was Santee softball. They had all the girls out where we got to walk. Yeah, we got to walk the outfield, so that was fun. Like the outfield grass, it was like a little parade on the track. And it was pretty funny because they put us pretty high up in the stadium. And I was up there just kind of enjoying the game with our team. And I don't get recognized all that often. And this woman comes up to me and goes, Are you Greg Garcia? And I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. She goes, what are you doing way up here? Because we're on the top. I mean, we couldn't have been higher. I don't think there was a higher section. And I was like, oh, I'm here for the softball. It's all good, blah, blah, blah. She goes, isn't it weird you used to be down the field and now you're way up here? And I was just like, yeah, I mean, you're kind of hurting me here, lady. But so, yeah, I went to that game. And then me and Hannah made it out to my wife, Hannah. We made it out to another game on a Sunday day game. Nice. So it's been good.
We need to put a call in to get you guys better seats.
No, we're good.
PD asking, what does Greg think of the Giants stealing signs the other night? Any insight to baseball hidden rules or repercussions? Nick Pivetta obviously noticed Ruben Niebla got the strikeout to end the inning, and Pivetta, yapping back as he should after getting the punch out to end the inning and get that guy off second base.
Yeah, that's when I was with St. Louis, we never did much of that. We didn't do any of the signs from second, nothing like that, And then when
you played the right way in St. Louis.
Well, I remember it was more old school. I think that maybe the Central was just a little behind everybody else because when I got to the National League West, it was like everybody's doing it, so you got to do it. But now with PitchCom, I think that kind of eliminates stealing of the signs. But me personally, I feel like it's the pitcher's responsibility to not show the runner at second anything. I mean, if you're going to be wide open, I don't know what Nick was doing. I have no idea if they were even getting it off that. But I don't have a problem with getting into the glove and trying to find an edge that way and relaying it to the pitcher. I think it's something that most guys try to get, and hitting's extremely hard. So you need every advantage you can get. And I think that's one that I'm okay with. I don't see an issue. And I think it's the pitcher's job to make sure nobody's getting in there. And, credit Ruben for kind of noticing that. Right. And you can kind of tell it's kind of an easy tell sometimes when maybe Nick throws his best slider or something and the batter just doesn't even flinch at it. Then you're kind of like, wait, what's going on here? That should have been a swing and miss or a weak contact. And then you start paying a little bit more closer attention. But yeah, and I don't know what the consensus is around baseball, but for me, I don't have an issue with it.
All right, last one, because I've taken some heat on Twitter. I said, I wish the Padres were seeing Paul Skenes this weekend. A lot of people said, are you crazy? Do you want the Padres to lose? Blah, blah, blah. Why would you want that? Paul Skenes gave up 3 runs in 5 innings and an 8-3 loss to the Cubs. Pirates are now 3-4 with Paul Skenes on the mound. So I feel validated, in my opinion, from a player and again, this is entertainment. This is sports. Why would you not want to see a great against Tatis, against Machado? You don't see those matchups very often. It is May. It's one game. Let's see best on best. But that's just me. How do the guys in the clubhouse feel going into a weekend when they're like, are we going to see Paul Skenes or not? What is the reaction when they don't? Do they wish they were? Like, how does that go over in the clubhouse?
I don't think anybody ever wants to face the elite pitchers in baseball. But I do remember, matchups against like a guy like Max Scherzer. You never wanted to face him, but if you did, you kind of had to psych yourself out, and it was enjoyable because you could just feel the energy, with a guy like that, and how much of a competitor he was. So I'm assuming the Padres would rather not face Paul, but if they face him, I think you enjoy that battle because, like you said, maybe it doesn't come up all that often. They're not in division, right? You play them twice a year. Those are fun matchups when you got to face the best in the league. It brings the best out of you, and it's going to be a heck of a ball game. So. But no, you never are happy to see the elite guys step on that mound. You got to psych yourself a little bit.
That's why it's nice to be a fan. You can let them deal with that matchup, and we just get our popcorn ready.
That's right, for sure.
So. Greg, you're the best. Appreciate it as always. Let's do it again soon.
Awesome, Darnay. Thanks for having me on, man.